Good morning. It's Saturday. I thought this morning I would give you guys a little update on my new morning routine. I'm late like I am every Saturday. So typically I get out here at about 6:30 now. It was about 6:45 on weekdays, but I've had to kind of get out here a little bit early with all the new things that I'm doing. I'm going to walk through my routine just like I would on a weekday for you. There's usually not this much yelling on a weekday. Right now, here in Arkansas, it's dark until after 7 in the morning. So, Duke and the kitties are the first ones that get fed in the morning. He's like, right. Hi. Are you walking right in front of me? I think I'm gonna need these gloves this morning. It's really hard to know. It was 20 degrees this morning when we got up, and I've been in the house just getting stuff cleaned up this morning, and so now it's probably in the high 30s, so it's not too bad. Showed you guys in the last videos, we've moved dog and cat food out here, out of the barn, because Hank was being a naughty kitten and tearing a bunch of stuff up in here. So I had to close it up for the season. The weather's fine. Ugh. It just makes feeding them in the mornings a little bit more difficult because I have to, there's no place to keep the food outside, so I have to kind of walk back and forth, but it's not really a big deal. Keep it here, basically because if I keep it on the porch, which is what I did for a really long time, the birds eat it. And when you're feeding a 120-pound dog, that gets expensive really fast if the blackbirds are helping him eat his food. He's not at all food aggressive, except for with the pigs. The pigs have gotten out before and eaten his food, and he gets really upset. But he lets the cats eat his food. It's fine. So I just keep their stuff together. I did feed the kitties in the barn, the blue barn before. Move your tail, Hank. But that barn, the roof leaks, so a lot of times we were wasting food because their food was getting wet. So I moved it in here, into this, our new barn that has a much better roof. I put out hay today. Jeremy's gone out to run some errands, so I'm trying to get the house cleaned, which is what I was doing early, and everybody fed before he gets back at probably close to lunch. Feed the pigs next. And I've got to fill up Toonie's water today. So we switched over to a pig feed from just the typical sweet feed because there's no real grass left for them to eat. And these guys will only eat alfalfa. They want say good morning. You can tell she's ready for breakfast. I need to get in here and fix their bowl. It's really fine, like they can eat off the ground. But they rut up. You can kind of see the mud. It's from all the rut digging that they've done. And they've dug a lot into this red dirt, which I don't really like. So I'd rather feed them in the bin. Petunia's getting big. So they're over here right now, and they're using this little, there's Daisy, IBC tote, and we just cut, I know I've showed you guys this before, but we just cut out a hole in it, and we just stuff it with straw, and that keeps them really warm. Because pigs, you actually have to like kind of worry about them having a warm spot. Petunia's getting big, so they're just in this little small paddock. The hope is to go out from the end of the barn and build an additional fence here and let them have like this space and that space, and that way when she has piglets she can have her own spot out here. Probably over the winter, even if we get that done, I'll let them have both spaces, because I'll have to run a puck water heater to this little bucket here for them, and it's a little bit far over there. There's my Daisy girl. Alright. So typically I would not be standing here talking, obviously. We would feed them and move on. See, they're over there waiting. They're the last ones to get fed. So this is the part of my routine that has changed probably the most, is these guys. So we're gonna go in here and kind of separate them out as best we can. I'm gonna sit you guys up here, see if that will work. Daisy might knock you over. We'll see. Ooh. Okay, so I've gotten everybody fed, and you can kind of see this kind of 3 to 4 goats to a feeder. Daisy kind of counts as 2 goats. And just have them split up. And we've switched to a more comprehensive goat feed right now. So they're eating something that has higher level of protein and also has some like added vitamins and minerals in it. It's more expensive. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing it, if we're going to supplement some other way, because it's pretty expensive, but so now I'm going to sweep off beds and muck, and I'm going to try to hang you guys up where you can kind of see what all that. So as you guys can see, it's a lot of fun to do this with them running around. I typically keep them locked up in the stalls, but they've been locked up so much in the past couple of days because of the rain. I didn't even come out last night and lock them in. I just let them sleep out, and I think they were, even though it was cold, they were happy to do that. So we're gonna rake up, we're gonna fork this big pile of hay, and we're gonna put it over in I'm gonna put it over in the compost pile really quick. Okay, so now that beds are swept off, hay's been mucked out, I'm gonna fill up the hay feeders, and I'm gonna try to put you guys up so that you can see that. It's really hard to do anything in here while they're in here, and you'll kind of see that, and that's kind of why it takes longer, because you're constantly moving around goats and moving goats, and they're not helpful. And it's the time that I have in the morning, so they're in here eating breakfast and I'm doing all of this. I'll come out and do it again in the afternoon when I get home from work, and they're all in here. They're gonna be in here where I am, even if I don't offer any food. Now today they're kind of ready to get out, so there's only about 5 of them in here, and it shouldn't be too bad, but I bet the minute I start pulling hay in, the rest of them will come back in, because that's goats. So you can see why the lid is important, because Padme will get on top of it and then she'll poop and pee in it, and it's gross. This is pretty full, so I'm not going to fill it up. You can see these two hold quite a bit more hay, which is fine. This holds quite a bit, and really they didn't waste a ton overnight. Just push this down a little bit. We can put a little bit more in it. Ow. And this is how I've got my water set up. I've got them hung up on these rebar hooks. You can see I just took some baling wire and tied the rebar hook. You can see it's a hook too, and then hung these flat back buckets. And they have stayed really clean. I mean, there's a little bit of hay in here, but there's been no poop. And Tink can reach this one fine, and she's my shortest goat, so I just have to make sure that if I put her up at night, she's in this stall. She reaches these two. This blue bucket out here fine, as long as it's relatively full. And I kind of had a little hiccup with this one. I didn't tie it straight, so you can kind of see it's turned, so the back doesn't rest flat. Doesn't seem to matter. One thing that you will learn quickly about me is I am not a perfectionist, so I don't really care that it's not perfect. Okay, so that's these guys taken care of. This is what I would typically do in the morning, so you can see why it's taking me, there's a little compost pile, a little bit longer in the mornings. So the last thing that I do is go and feed those guys, and right now we've switching up feed for the winter, and I'm giving the calves a scoop of these cattle cubes and the goats a scoop of the grain, and that is because boy goats can't have too much grain. They can't have too much protein or calcium in their diet because they will get bladder stones, which are like our kidney stones, but they block up their penis and they can't pee, and it will kill them. And so they will eat these cattle cubes, don't get me wrong, but they would not choose them first, where these little calves would. Now technically these calves need a lot more grain right now than they're getting, and kind of debating Good morning. On how to get that to work. I've thought about feeding them separately, but you can see this is kind of how they're dividing out, and this is working pretty well. They're eating these cubes. These guys are eating the grain. These guys probably need about 3 scoops of these cubes. So, I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm thinking about putting in something like, these are the ideas that I have, none of them are good. Like a half gate here, where in the mornings I could feed the goats and they could come in, but the calves couldn't, or even one of those little calf guards, because they're way too big to fit through one of those. And then closing it off, letting the goats come in, feed them, close it off, and then feeding the girls. The problem with that is me having to wait on them to be finished. So in order to do that, we probably have to feed them like a supplement in the afternoon, or just switch over feeding them to the afternoon. So I don't know. Princess hopefully will go to the sale here in a few weeks with the other calves that are ready to go, and I'll just have Gobbles to worry about. And I've debated, just for the winter, sending her out with the mamas and seeing how she does. I gotta go in here and fill up Toonie's water just to kind of see how she does, because she could get everything that she needed. She still wouldn't get grain, and that's the kind of thing, is she really needs some grain. And so I gotta kind of figure that out. Okay, so that will be the end of my morning routine typically, and I would go inside, pack my lunch, and go to work. So you can see how this is working. There's still a little bit of orneriness that happens, but I've got 6 goats in here eating, and these are going to be the 3 friends that are going to struggle. But we need to go out here and check. There is a hay feeder out here, and I have found that it's where Nani will eat a lot of times. Come on, bud. During the day. And so it's a pallet feeder that we made when we first got Daisy and her brother Marvin. And you can see we took the pallet apart, so like this was the side, this beam was the side of the pallet, and so was the bottom. And then we cut the these boards in half. We took 2, these are I think 6 bys, and made like some posts to screw it to, and then just took, sorry, I'm not good at explaining things, how to build things, 2 boards and put it here. And then we ended up putting in, you can see this like little small square cattle panel to keep them from wasting it. But I try to keep this fresh as well. You can see with all the hay, they're eating it. We are going through, so this little door that goes back into the barn, so I can reach in here and grab a flake as I need it. It works out really well. I'll just put some extra in here for them. It's hard to know like how much hay they're gonna eat over the winter right now, to be honest, because it has been raining for 2 weeks and they have been eating a lot of hay. They've only been eating indoors, haven't gotten out a lot. But in the last 2 days they've eaten less hay because they've spent a ton of time outside. Is it nap time, bud? It's a time for naps. So you can see they're rooting up this area, getting every crumb of pig feed. Good morning, little piggy. Good morning. And we'll pause for some scratches. What do you think, pork chop? So it's been really nice to have them in this pen because I can actually come in with them and not worry about having to smell like stinky buck or being randomly run over by a calf. Just gonna fill up her water. Oh, so she's still drinking out of this little bin right here. So these 2 buckets, they can't reach into this, so I keep it full and then I just kind of dip out of it so I don't have to constantly run a hose over here. And I just got my pants all wet. Oh well, piggles. What do you think, piggles? The Coonies are just the best pigs. But you can see all the rooting that they didn't do over the summer, they will do in the winter because there's no grass to eat. Toonie escaped the other day out this little gap. Like there's a little piece of fence right here. I had it on this side of the gate and she just used her nose to lift it up and go through. Pigs are smart. Goats might do that accidentally, but they would not probably figure that out. Where she knew that she could go through there and I would fix it and she just would do it over and over again. So she had fun, and I debated leaving them out because there is still some grass left out in this pasture and clover, and we're gonna have fescue winter grass that the goats will eat all season. But they rooted a hole into my barn and not having piggies. That's the thing about pigs, is that they're a little bit more destructive than goats. Because of the rooting, they don't root like a big full-size pig would root. They have those nice squished noses. Oh, come on, pork chop. Yes, ma'am. I don't have anything else to eat. It's because they have those squished snouts. They're not going to root as badly, but they still root. Just not as much. So they'll have this whole pasture probably turned over before the end of the winter, even if they have plenty to eat. Just because they're bored, and that's what they do. She's struggling. She's like, I would really like a belly rub, but I'm also eating. The life of a pig. Are you spoiled piggies? So they're taken care of. I'm gonna give them some hay this afternoon. And actually really nice out. I bet it's in the upper 40s. Sun, no wind. It's gonna be kind of a beautiful day. It's nice to just be in overalls and not coveralls today. Yeah, you can see how these feeders work. The only thing about these, which I think is really funny, is they want to eat off the top, even though all this is fresh, and so they stick their feet in it, which is not my favorite. Good morning, Padme. But kind of is what it is. This is better than what we did last year. Was they had round bales to eat. You can see how this is working. Tink is eating the stuff that kind of, this is not on the floor. It's hard to see. It's not on the floor, it's actually just fallen back behind. And so she's able to eat that hasn't been stepped in or pooped or peed in. Which is nice because she's really short, and making sure that she has access to something to eat can be a struggle. They're not wasting a ton of it. They're going to waste. Goats are going to waste. You can see it's hard for them to pull this out. They're going to pull out, drop some of it, eat what they want. But it's reduced our waste quite a bit. I got this one who's eating in the top, which is fine because our butt is still not in it, which is kind of what we want. Hi, Patty. Hi, sweet girl. She's so pretty. You are. Look how pretty you are. And she's so sweet. She's a little timid, but she always wants to be wherever I am, which is a really good sign. Here comes Mama. Come eat, Bum Bum. Does it just want snuggles? So yeah, this is how we're rolling nowadays. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video on my morning routine and how my morning chores have changed since we've changed up the barn setup and we're getting ready for winter. A lot of this just is because it's winter. In the summer, I would not feed them this much hay. They don't need it. They're grazing. They'd have access to some, but not a ton. Like, we would probably only have hay in that outside feeder, just in case, just to kind of balance their gut. This is what I do every morning, other than the like filling up the water for the pigs. It's pretty much exactly the same routine. I move a little bit faster. Obviously, I'm not filming, so I'm not talking to a camera. That's basically it. It takes about 20-25 minutes now in the morning versus the 10 that it was taking me before. We are locking them up at night when I can. Like I said last night, I left them out just because they've been locked up for like a week straight, basically, with all this rain. We're starting to dry out, so I'm really excited. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry, they're all munching. It's just so calming. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and read the little notification bell so that you know every time I put out a new video. And we'll see you guys later.